2021 has seen a whole raft of new and updated sports bikes, from the budget end right up to some incredible high-end limited editions. So in today's video, we're going to look at the best bikes that have been refreshed for the new model year, and we're going in price order ascending. But before we get started, if you're new here and you want to see more of the latest motorcycle news right here on YouTube, then please do remember to hit subscribe. The absolute entry point into the mid-capacity fully fed sports bike world is the Kawasaki Ninja 650. You're not going to get cutting-edge tech or extreme performance at this price, but for $7,000 it's a solid package with a proven engine, and it does inherit some of the looks and the name of the bigger and perhaps more desirable Ninjas. Suspension and braking are fairly basic but competent. The parallel twin makes 68 PS at 8,000 RPM, which is just about enough for some fun on the road. Curb weight is reasonable for the price at 193 kilograms, and you do get a color TFT dash with some phone connectivity. With an accessible seat height of 790mm and a reasonably relaxed riding position, it makes for a decent starter sports bike. The 2021 updates for this bike were minor, with some new paint options of black, white, or Kawasaki green. Up a grand is the CBR 650R, and you do get quite a lot more performance for your money. Despite having the same 650cc capacity as the Ninja, the inline-4 engine layout revs up much higher, delivering 95 PS at 12,000 RPM for a bit more of that sports bike top end. An upside-down Showa separate function fork and radially mounted 4-piston Nissin front brake calipers also outdo the Kawasaki, although it is about 15 kilograms heavier and 20mm higher in the seat, so shorter riders might want to try both before they buy. Personally, the Honda would be my pick though, and there have been some thoughtful updates for 2021, including a tweak to the dash to reduce reflections in bright light, a USB charger as standard, a steel number plate hanger as opposed to the plastic of the previous gen, and upgraded fork internals. They've also made some subtle changes to the visuals and graphics, but whether it's in the black or the red, I think it's a great looking bike. Aprilia's RS660 is brand new for the 2021 model year, and it appears to be the toast of the town at the moment, receiving rave reviews across the board. The 660cc parallel twin is essentially half of their much-loved V4 engine, and it puts out a respectable peak power of 101 PS at 10,500 RPM, as well as a lovely exhaust note owing to the 270-degree crank. Suspension and brakes are well spec'd, but it's the tech on this bike that may come as a surprise, with many features normally the reserve of a much more pricey machine. There's a 6-axis IMU driving lean-sensitive rider aids, as well as wheelie control, engine braking control, 5 riding modes, cruise control, cornering headlights, an up and down quick shifter, a TFT dash of course, and even a double-walled fairing developed in the wind tunnel that not only improves stability at high speeds, but also disperses heat from the engine and radiator away from the rider. And all wrapped up in a visual package that makes it one of the most desirable bikes on this list, despite being far from the most expensive. Now, this isn't strictly an out-and-out sports bike, more of a sports tourer, but it's such a good seller in the UK, often making the top 10 bikes, so I had to include it. For a touch over 11 grand, you get a 1043cc inline-4 that cranks out 142 PS at 10,000 RPM. There's a comfortable riding position with decent wind protection, cushy adjustable suspension, a TFT dash, cruise control, luggage options, and an up and down quick shifter, so basically everything you need for munching up the miles with a few thrills along the way. There's a performance edition available, which includes some crash protection and an Akrapovic exhaust. There's a touring edition with panniers and an extended windscreen, and there's a performance touring edition, which I assume you can work out for yourself. 2021 sees 3 new color options, which are black and green, black and red, and black and black. The Ducati Supersport is a more easygoing road-focused bike than their Panigales, but for 2021 they've given it a facelift, which puts it much more in line with those high-performance bikes. The daytime running light, for example, gives the front end an almost identical appearance. The mechanicals and performance figures remain pretty much the same, but it does get a 6-axis IMU which opens up lean-sensitive rider aids, as well as a quick shifter and a 4.3-inch TFT dash with optional Bluetooth connectivity. Whilst it does represent the most affordable way to get a slice of the Ducati sports bike action, it does feel like the Aprilia RS660 has it beat in most areas. The tech is as good, it makes almost the same power, it's a couple of grand cheaper and about 30 kilograms lighter too. Which one would you go for though if you had the choice? Let me know down in the comments. At 15 grand and above, you start getting into the serious power figures, with the Kawasaki ZX-10R being capable of a whopping 203 PS at 13,500 RPM from its 998cc inline 4. 2021 saw loads of subtle changes, including a visual facelift, aero winglets for 17% more downforce, a 40mm taller windscreen, a revised handlebar and foot peg position, some chassis geometry tweaks, a new TFT dash, LED lighting, revised suspension settings, and shorter ratios for the first 3 gears, which ought to enhance acceleration. Kawasaki also updated the ZX-10RR, offering a limited run of 500 bikes in order to be able to race them in the Superbike World Champs. For £24,799, you get upgraded engine internals, a single-seat setup, Marcassini forged wheels, an adjustable swing arm pivot, and braided brake hoses, although it's only available to race teams on request. Perhaps one of the most eagerly anticipated announcements of the year was the updated version of Suzuki's iconic Hayabusa. The Busa made a name for itself when it launched in 1999 by posting the fastest top speed of any production motorcycle, getting up to 194 miles per hour. It's also been a firm favourite over the years for modification and tuning, and so a 2021 update had mouths watering at the prospect of something even more powerful and capable. Perhaps it came as a bit of a disappointment then that the new Busa is actually down on power versus the previous generation, making 190 PS at 9,700 RPM against the 197 PS of the Gen 2 bike. Torque is also down by 5 Nm, but Suzuki say that with a bump in mid-range power and a couple of kilograms shed off the total weight, the 0-60 is actually faster by 0.2 of a second on the new bike. Other updates include Brembo Stylema brake calipers, new fork internals, better tyres, a whole new suite of electronics and rider aids, and a restyling that certainly looks like a Busa overall, but with a slightly more modern edge. So is it enough of an advancement worthy of the Hayabusa name, or is it a missed opportunity to deliver another groundbreaking machine? Let me know what you think in the comments. Aprilia's RS-V4 gets a visual update for the new model year, pulling it in line with the RS660 we've already looked at. It also gets the same double-walled winglets to help it with downforce, and the triple LED headlight setup with the lean-sensitive cornering feature. Whilst peak power remains the same at 220 PS, torque is ever so slightly up from 122 Nm to 125 at 10,500 RPM. The chassis is largely unchanged, although it does get a new lighter swing arm with a reinforced lower brace for extra stiffness. In terms of electronics, there's a larger TFT dash, 6 riding modes, 3 of which are for the road and 3 for the track, and on top of the usual lean-sensitive rider aids, there's now a multi-level engine braking setting. If this all sounds a bit bland to you, then you can fork out another 5 grand for the factory version, which gets forged aluminium wheels, Öhlins Smart EC2 semi-active suspension, Brembo Stylema brake calipers, as well as a couple of more flashy paint jobs. It's quite a jump up in price to the next bike, the BMW M1000RR, which comes in at just over 30 grand. It's based upon the S1000RR, which is widely regarded as the best sports bike on the market, but this version is for Superbike World Championships homologation, and as such it gets all the bells and whistles. BMW have revised their engine internals, which allow it to rev up a little higher and produce an extra 5 horsepower at the top, whilst an Akrapovic titanium full system, M carbon wheels, and a lightweight M battery all contribute to a 4 kg saving in curb weight at 192. There are new aero winglets, tweaked suspension internals, a longer swing arm with an adjustable pivot point, bling-looking M brakes developed with Nissin, an optional GPS data logger and lap timer, and perhaps surprisingly, BMW's Hill Start Control Pro. That's a feature you'd normally expect on a big, heavily laden tourer that might roll back as you move off. And I'm no expert, but I'd probably advise that you nail your hill starts before taking a 30 grand superbike on the track. Up a few £100 is this limited edition collaboration between MV Agusta and the performance car manufacturer Alpina. 110 units were produced as a nod to Alpina's super successful A110, and specs-wise, it's pretty much the same as the standard Super Veloce it's based on, which is pretty much the same as the F3800 that's based upon, but there are a few nice upgrades like carbon air duct covers, carbon mudguards, a carbon chain guard, and carbon lower fairings. There's also an Alcantara seat with blue stitching, a CNC machined fuel cap, an Alpina embossed leather tank strap, a pillion seat cowl, and the serial number of each bike is etched into a plate on the headstock. They all sold out in a few hours, as did the 75th anniversary version that they launched a few months prior. That one wasn't quite as spec'd up, but it was about 10 grand cheaper, and in my book, it's the better looking bike with a stunning red, white, green and gold paint job. But top of the pile for 2021 is the new Ducati Panigale V4 SP. It's essentially a track-focused version of their V4S, with blanked-off mirrors and license plate holder, a black paint job inspired by their factory team's winter testing finish, a data analyzer with a GPS module, fully adjustable Rizoma foot pegs, top-spec Brembo-style Limit R brake calipers, an MCS master cylinder with a remote adjuster, an SDM open-dry clutch, a thinner chain, and carbon wheels saving 1.4 kilograms. It sort of fits in the middle of their range with a more premium spec and price than the 20-gram base Panigale V4 and the upspec'd V4S. An extra couple of £1,000 would get you their Superbike homologation special, the V4R, and then right at the top of the range you've got the €100,000 hyperbike, the Superleggera V4. Personally, I'd be happy to take any of them. And that rounds off the new and updated sports bikes for 2021. Of course, there are plenty of incredible 2020 bikes still on the market, like the Fireblade, S1000RR, the GSXR, the R1M, Kawasaki's H2, the list goes on, but as always, I'd love to know which one would be your pick down in the comments below. And if you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe and I'll catch you next time.